off all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night
vVv gaming.
Here on Tal'Darim Altar, it is going to be that macro map that we both thought Warlock would be trying to go for. And we'll see if WarlockX tries to do anything special. There are rocks at the third base, if I can tell. And so it is not going to be an easy third base. So we're perhaps not going to see a very, very fast third base setup coming in from the Zerg player, as we see Hasuu spawning as the green Protoss on the top right-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, we have WarlockX spawning on the bottom left-hand side as the red Zerg.
Once again, very far positioned here, so Warlock's going to be able to get on that second base quickly, perhaps even a third, and then both players are going to have some mid-game timing here, I imagine, unless there's some sort of crazy early game play here, which we have seen before. But yeah, I'll be interested to see Hasuu, as he does get into a mid-game here, what he can really bring to the table for vVv.
Yeah, and I believe I've seen cannon rushes on Tal'Darim Altar where you place down pylons at the ramp or at the choke point here, making it very difficult for those roaches to really be able to break through. Just 2 or 3 cannons, the Zergians are not able to take down the pylons, and then you're able to confine the Zerg player into one base while you take an expansion of your own. I have also seen Zerg players instead decide to build a macro hatch inside their base and then counter with a very, very strong roach push and breaking that very easily, as we can now see a spawning pool has already been placed down. So a rather early spawning pool, and now the extractor trick. What do you make of this, Matron?
Well, we have seen this before, actually, in another Wednesday Night Starcraft. It was against Time. I forget what player did it, but he went for a very fast pool, and he wanted to take advantage of the fact that the Protoss usually go for this Forge Fast Expand. So we'll see whether Warlock tries to stream a lot of lings in here past the cannons and gateways before they even get up, or whether he's just going to go pool first here so that he can establish that hatchery and not be susceptible to that cannon contain, as you mentioned, very powerful in this map.
Yeah, I'm still wondering what Hasuu is doing with that one probe over there. Gateway should be warping in. Oh, he doesn't have enough minerals, getting my colors confused. As we are now going into 6 Zerglings and a very early Queen. The probe, I believe, yes, did spot the spawning pool. So a gateway and a cannon now warping in. And Hasuu should have enough time. This is going to be a full cross spawn. And because Warlock has not done any true scouting just quite yet, it is going to be a little bit of time before he finds out where his opponent is.
Well, he's scouted to the north, so he knows that there are 2 positions that his opponent could be in here. But he's just making these 6 lings, and now it looks like he's going to be expanding. He won't be able to be cannon contained, as you said Hasuu could have done with this Forge Fast Expand strategy. And Hasuu is going to need to wall off here. He's going to try to wait and see if he can get up a cybernetic score. He might have to use a gateway here. Depends on how quickly these Zerglings get here.
Yeah, the Zerglings are going to try to squeeze by, and as soon as if a cybernetic core is able to warp in, that would be absolutely perfect for Hasuu. Will he be able to get it up in time? It looks like Hasuu needs to get it up. Is he going to warp it in? And yes, gets it just in a nick of time, getting a gateway instead. So yeah, now canceling it and now going for that Nexus, but that cannon did get an additional kill or 2 just because he delayed it. And I don't know if that was just to get more kills on that cannon, or if he had a little bit of a slip there, but nicely done by Hasuu.
Yeah, we see that quite a bit. I'm not really sure, since the gateway had already finished why I didn't place down a cybernetic score. But throwing down that extra gateway is something we see to try to just block off, prevent those Zerglings from getting in, being very annoying, killing a few probes, making you pull off the line, seeing how many gases you're taking. So yeah, both players at this point just feeling each other out. Warlock at the moment has the lead supply-wise 28-22, as Hasuu had to try to cut a few probes there to get up all those mineral-intensive buildings to wall off at the front there. And Warlock will be getting up his natural just a little bit late, but now doing a full transfer here, and I imagine he will want to get full saturation on both these bases as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's looking like Warlock is going to be able to power drone very, very easily. The second Queen about to be done will be transferred over. And knowing that his opponent is just walled up inside his base, he can power drone perhaps until the 7 or even 8 minute mark. And perhaps giving about I would guesstimate around a 40 to 45 drone advantage to about 30. And I'm not quite sure what Hasuu can really do. Yes, he is going to be going into that Stargate play, so perhaps some Void Rays and Phoenixes will be enough to counter this power droning, which I believe to be taking place in just a moment.
Yeah, the Stargate can be used offensively, like you mentioned, with the Phoenix and Void Ray. We see that quite a bit from OGS MC in this matchup now, saying that Stargate and Phoenix are imba in this matchup, but it can also be used defensively. If the Zerg player goes for some sort of timing where he brings a lot of roaches and lings to try to bust that front door, if you've got a Void Ray or two able to focus down those roaches, it can be a lot easier to deal with, as we do see a Roach Warren going down for Warlock. I think this is a little bit late to be going for that timing. The Void Ray will be out in time if that's what Hasuu chooses to go for first, and it looks like he will.
Yeah, so an early Void Ray now. It looks like Hasuu running off of 4 gas, or will be running off of 4 gas. Meanwhile, the rocks over here at the, what I'll call the 7 o'clock position, about to be, or about halfway cleared. The Zerglings working tirelessly, trying to take down those rocks, as I may be losing you, Matron. Matron, you there?
Yep.
All right, so yeah, it said you were going to be dropping for just a moment. So we now get a couple more drones up and running. We are now sitting at 39 or 43 drones compared to 33, and we should be getting another round of power droning coming in, as we are now also going into an Evo chamber and that macro hatch. The macro hatch has really made a strong comeback as of late, as a lot of Zerg players don't really want to set up another hatchery over here and overexposing themselves. A Zealot now attempting to clear down more of these Zerglings, and it looks like a couple Zerglings will get taken down, 2 Zerglings taken down, and 2 low hit point Zerglings left, as Rev now going to be, or Warlock will be able to finish off this set of destructible rocks.
Yeah, Warlock is really going to have to be able to deal with this Void Ray, though. We see a second one on the way for Hasuu, so he's going to be quite powerful. And right now, all that Warlock has is just these 4 queens, which, as long as they group together, should be able to handle these Void Rays no problem. And Warlock very far ahead at this point, as we see one of the Void Rays just working on an Overlord, getting a full charge if he wants to start taking on queens.
Yeah, but that charge not going to really do anything at all. That Void Ray was taken down, or sorry, the Overlord was taken down. I am a little bit confused this afternoon. So yeah, the Overlord was taken down, but I don't think Hasuu can really get that much damage, and there's a lot of Overlords, and there's no real threat to be supply blocked at all, as Hasuu now comes in with these Void Rays, and now going to be going toe-to-toe against a Queen, and just taking a lot of damage. Not quite sure what that was about. 4 Queens against 2 Void Rays, and now he really needs to escape, and Hasuu just slipping up just a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit of miss micro. He was almost just moving, not A-moving, and not really taking care of the 2 Void Rays, and that's a very heavy investment. They're very expensive, especially this early in the game. I mean, you're spending 500 minerals, 300 gas, so you really have to protect those. More importantly, you have to be doing some damage with those. And we see Warlock, the income counting station, is 59 to 44. As you mentioned, he got up that macro hatch because he really just can't spend all these minerals with 2 hatcheries and 2 queens injecting. He's working on a Spire and a third and looking in very good position.
Yeah, now Warlock has a number of options you can try to go for. Really coming in from Hasuu. Hasuu hasn't showed his hand yet. That the Stargate play, that early Stargate play, is not really a committed gameplay effort. You can see also Hasuu does have a couple sentries as well, and he's now attempting to take down his Cybernetics core, which is a rather odd building to take down, but Hasuu does have another one over here already, and he may be getting the level 2 weapons upgrade.
He's also just got out a Warp Prism as well, so we'll see what he does with that, if he's got an interesting strategy here, whether he's going to warp some units into the main of Warlock at the same time as attacking perhaps the third, but Warlock just now instantly saturating that third. He's got such an economic advantage. Not really sure that Hasuu is going to be able to handle this economy of Warlock unless he does a lot of damage very quickly here.
Yeah, at this stage, the macro game definitely in favor of Warlock, and really, Hasuu, if he wants to get back into this game, he needs to come back in with superior micro. That's one of the ways in order to try to beat macro, but macro, when your opponent has more units than you, it's generally a very slippery slope. You could have the most amazing micro for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then slip, and a fungal growth goes off, and all of a sudden you lose all your units. As the Roach is now moving out very, very quickly. They have the Glio Reconstitution, and now pushing in. Stalkers are engaging. There are a couple force fields splitting up the army there, so nicely done. Many of those Roaches in the back, unable to really engage as the Stalkers are blinking back and forth, and now it looks like Hasuu will be trying to escape.
Yeah, Hasuu just was not prepared for the amount of Roaches which Warlock has at this point, and he's got a lot of Lings and also Queens ready to reinforce. perhaps if he had a little bit better creep spread, he could surround and take down the whole army up here of Hasuu, but it looks like he's going to be taking on these roaches. Not really sure about that. Blink has finished, so he could make a quick escape here, but looks like he wanted to do as much damage as he could with that Void Ray. And now Blinky Forward going to be picking off a free queen here, but Warlock definitely has enough queens to spare. And Warlock at this point not taking a lot of damage here. He's got the economy to trade armies like this, so Hasuu a little bit in a losing position, trying to clear some of this creep, doing whatever he can.
Yeah, you can see now Zealots are now inside the base, trying to put some pressure on WarlockX, and now another drop over here as well. So Hasuu blinking up onto the high ground with the help of an Observer, and this is exactly what Hasuu needed to do to get back into this game, and he's doing this just in very, very just nice fashion. He will be able to blink and escape in just a moment. There you go. There's the escape, and Hasuu doing a good job, at least putting some pressure down. I believe, yes, 18 worker kills, and a couple of plays, more plays like that, and he may be able to even up the score.
Yeah, quite a few workers killed. As you mentioned, now he's going immediately into a Dark Shrine, so pulling out all the Protoss tricks, using that Warp Prism, as I mentioned, a two-prong attack there, showing his army at the front at the same time, getting the Zealots into the main mineral line, and then a nice blink play with that Observer, so he had a lot of tech going on there, was actually able to pull off a rather nice move with it, but we'll see whether it's enough here as Warlock at 152 compared to the 99 of Hasuu, and now looks to get aggressive.
Yeah, we can see now Zerglings and Roaches at the front door. A very large army, 152 over 100, as you mentioned, as we are now supply blocked by Hasuu. But Hasuu does, I believe, have superior Does he have superior upgrades? No, he does not have superior upgrades. They are currently tied at 1-0 apiece. Level 1 Carapace will be finishing. Level 2 weapons upgrade will be finishing as well. But that will be a little while longer as the Zerglings now getting a little bit separated from the rest of the pack and getting picked off. So those were just some free Zerglings served up on a platter for Hasuu.
Now Warlock is going to be doing his own two-prong attack here, working into the natural, trying to take down these probes with these Mutalisks here. At the same time, he might be pushing in with these Lings and the Roaches at the front door, so he could do a lot of damage here, separating the Stalkers from the main army of Hasuu.
Yeah, so the Mutalisks are now just hanging around at the back of the mineral patch, just saying, I can fly in whenever I want. There he goes, coming back once more, getting in more damage. The Stalker is able to blink in, though, and getting off a couple of shots on the back of those Mutalisks. The Mutalisks now pulling away, looking to perhaps harass the main base, but that is not going to work. But the front door now just getting completely flooded, and Hasuu is in trouble.
Yeah, he really needed some force fields there at the front door, or perhaps even to wall off and play a little bit more defensively here, as he's trying to squeeze his units into a good position, having to pull probes off, actually, to do a little bit of defense. But these Roaches just so powerful, depowering everything, and now we have some DTs defending, so they may be able to do a lot of damage, but will it be enough before Hasuu loses all these probes?
Yeah, so the Stalkers are trying to engage. The Stalkers are trying to buy as much time as possible. There are 4 Dark Templars in this group, and I don't know if we even have an Overseer coming in, but there's a large flood of units coming in from the far side. The Dark Templar is able to easily handle the rest of the Roaches, but there are still Mutalisks to deal with, and those Mutalisks may be able to just pick off more and more probes, and Immortal also engaging as well. These Dark Templars kind of saving Hasuu, but is it going to be enough? He is already on life support. 6 Dark Templars trying to fight back against all of these Zerglings. A Stalker going to get taken down once more, and there's the GG.
Wow, so very impressive play there from Warlock in 2 games in a row. Hasuu basically was behind almost from the start, but he did have that mid-game attack where he did some damage. It just wasn't enough. Did not disrupt the economy of Warlock enough. And then Warlock was coming in with his own two-prong attack there with the Mutalisks and that front door barrage with Roaches and Lings, was able to finish it off.
Yeah, exactly. And for all of you guys who are complaining about the sound volume, it happens to be that Skype lowers all other sound volume whenever there is a call. So I've already raised it up as high as I can, and unfortunately I cannot get it up any higher.
So looks we'll be moving on to game 4 here, and we'll see who vVv chooses. They've just got their